cracked roads in Tianjin's Country Gardens community, prompting late-night evacuation of 3,000 residents. Record-breaking heat wave sweeps China with 43 degrees Celsius temperatures. Yunnan uses sun's heat to cook eggs. CCP scholars, sacrificing 1.4 billion lives for Taiwan unification is insignificant. Internet erupts with fury. Unsolvable unemployment crisis. Tens of millions of angry youth pose nightmare for CCP stability maintenance. Resurgence of Great White Lung as Beijing reports highest weekly COVID-19 cases in 5 weeks. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Cracked roads in Tianjin's Country Gardens community, prompting late-night evacuation of 3,000 residents. According to a report from Jimu News, on May 31st, at around 6 p.m., some people heard a loud bang sound, similar to an explosion. Then the roads within the Country Gardens community in the Bilatai town of Jinan district, Tianjin city suddenly exploded and sank. Videos circulated on the internet showing that the ground on Bilatai Road outside the east gate of the Country Gardens community exhibited a wave-like bulge and expansive cracking. Mr. Wang, pseudonym, residing in the Country Gardens Fengjinting Court community, said that after the road exploded, he discovered cracks appearing in his residential building as well. By 6 or 7 p.m., the cracked buildings within the community were also cordoned off. In the middle of night, nearly 3,000 residents were urgently instructed to evacuate. Given the significant number of affected residents, they are currently dispersed and staying in several hotels near the community. On June 2nd, a video posted on the social media platform Twitter showed a Tianjin resident describing the situation. It was so scary. It was horrifying. At 2:30 in the middle of the night, there was an urgent mass evacuation. People were banging on doors. All residents from buildings 37 to 52 in the Country Gardens Fengjinting Court community were instructed to evacuate immediately. The homeowners group was in complete chaos, and everyone was filled with anxiety. Many residents didn't have time to bring their valuable belongings when they evacuated. Everyone was afraid that the buildings might collapse due to cracked ground and water seepage underground. On the afternoon of June 1st, at the scene in the Country Gardens Fengjinting Court community, there were still several fire trucks, cranes, excavators, and other vehicles parked on the sides of the road. According to a report by Red Star News, some residents of the community claimed that the cause of the incident was due to the construction of a hot water well across the road. In response to this, officials from the government of Bilatai town, where the incident occurred, confirmed that there was construction in the vicinity. The construction of the hot water well had started more than 10 days ago, and the issue had only recently emerged. The ground started cracking in the afternoon of May 31st. Regarding this matter, the Emergency Management Bureau, Housing and Construction Commission, and Urban Management Committee of Jinan District in Tianjin have not been available for media interviews. Record-breaking heat wave sweeps China with 43 degrees Celsius temperatures. Yunnan uses sun's heat to cook eggs. Mainland China is experiencing unpredictable weather patterns. Recently, several provinces in South China, including Sichuan, Yunnan, Guangdong, Guangxi, and Hainan, have been experiencing prolonged high temperatures. On May 29th, cities like Panzihua in Sichuan and Jiaotong in Yunnan reached a maximum temperature of 43 degrees Celsius. As of May 31st, the surface temperature in Chaojia County, Yunnan, and Ningnan County, Sichuan, both exceeded 75 degrees Celsius. A viral video shows villagers in Chaojia County directly frying eggs in an iron pan under the scorching sun. Local villagers in Chaojia County expressed, "We've lived for over 70 years, but we've never seen such weather. It is indeed extremely hot." Due to the high temperatures, several schools in Panzihua, Sichuan, have been temporarily closed. Multiple cities in Guangdong province have issued orange-level heat warnings. On May 30th, Guangzhou experienced a temperature as high as 41.9 degrees Celsius, marking the first orange-level heat warning this year. A viral video shows concrete roads in Guangzhou cracking and bursting due to the scorching heat. Guangxi has also been affected by an unprecedented heat wave. A video circulating online shows that even the fish in rice fields in Liuzhou, Guangxi, have been killed by the extreme heat. On May 29, Shanghai experienced its hottest day in May in over 100 years. Shenzhen also issued an orange-level heat warning on May 30. Under the scorching heat, electricity consumption has surged, leaving people reliant on air conditioning to stay alive, but the power supply is facing a crisis. On the evening of May 30, power outages occurred in multiple areas of Shenzhen, prompting netizens to express their frustration. There were 4 power cuts last night, and I have no idea how I managed to fall asleep. Similarly, the power demand has skyrocketed in southern manufacturing hubs, including Guangdong, with the peak electricity load of the southern power grid exceeding 200 million kilowatts, weeks earlier than usual and approaching historical highs. The power load in Hainan recently surpassed 7 million kilowatts for the first time, while Guangxi also reached a new historical peak. CCP scholars, sacrificing 1.4 billion lives for Taiwan unification is insignificant. Internet erupts with fury. Renowned scholar Li Yi, who currently resides in the United States and is affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, recently made controversial remarks once again. Last week on his YouTube channel Li Yi Views the World, Li Yi stated, during the American Civil War, which lasted for 3 years, 730,000 people died, and the estimated casualties reached 3 million. Therefore, if the unification of Taiwan leads to the death of 1.4 billion people in China, it would be insignificant in human history. In another video, Li Yi went further and declared, I believe that among the 1.4 billion people in mainland China, there must be some who have already prepared themselves for the deaths of 1.4 billion or 700 million people. With a little education, the younger generation would agree to sacrifice 1.4 billion or 700 million lives for the unification of Taiwan. In terms of a nuclear war, mainland China has made it clear that it is willing to sacrifice 500 cities east of Xi'an. The moment these remarks surfaced, the internet exploded, and a large number of netizens immediately left comments to express their criticism. I don't know where Li Yi got the data of 730,000 deaths in the American Civil War. According to public records, the northern side lost 110,000 soldiers, and the southern side lost 90,000, totaling 200,000 casualties. Isn't it absurd to exaggerate the necessity of sacrifice? Will people's lives improve after reunification? Will they enjoy basic civil rights? These are the most important issues, but he doesn't mention them at all. Other netizens pointed out, would the children of high-ranking CCP officials be willing to be sent to the battlefield? The mindset of the Communist Party is still stuck in a backward and barbaric era. Many netizens expressed their anger, saying, human lives are treated as worthless. I really wish he were one of them. Those who advocate for war are never the ones who have to go to the battlefield. The remarks made by Li Yi are absolutely insane. Because it's not him who will die, he enjoys peace and freedom in the United States and then criticizes Taiwan and the United States. This idiot keeps spouting nonsense, let him be on the front line. Some netizens criticize this as a statement against humanity, only spoken by cold-blooded authoritarian fascists. Li Yi, a sociologist and researcher at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies at Renmin University of China, has a history of making controversial statements. In May 2021, he claimed that reunifying Taiwan through force would be a piece of cake. He suggested that the mainland should be prepared for a nuclear war to unify Taiwan, even if the people of Taiwan were to die in the process. He argued that it wouldn't matter because the mainland has a population of over 1.4 billion, while Taiwan has only 23 million. In October 2020, during a forum in Shenzhen, Li Yi made a joking remark about the COVID-19 pandemic. He laughed and said, "This thing, the new coronavirus, is the least favorable for Europe and the United States, but most favorable for North Korea and China. So we only had 4,000 deaths. Compared to the 220,000 deaths in the United States, it's as if no one died at all. Unsolvable unemployment crisis, tens of millions of angry youth pose nightmare for CCP stability maintenance." According to the National Bureau of Statistics of the Chinese Communist Party, the youth in China are confronted with a staggering unemployment rate of 20.4%, the highest recorded since 2018. However, the actual number could be even higher. Simultaneously, a record-breaking 11.6 million university graduates have entered the Chinese job market this year. Taking into account the unemployment rate of 20.4%, it means that 1 out of every 5 young individuals in China is currently without employment. Young people are struggling to find jobs and are forced into a state of instability, where even basic sustenance becomes a problem, such as food and clothing. The issue of youth unemployment is increasingly casting a dark shadow over society, giving rise to a potential group of angry youth that poses a threat to the stability of the CCP. The recent White Paper Revolution movement has shown the Chinese authorities that young people are willing to take to the streets and protest. To prevent more unemployed youths from becoming angry youth, provincial governments are continuously encouraging young people to work in rural areas. Wang He, a columnist for the Epoch Times, pointed out that the issue of unemployment is not only an economic problem but also a social problem. It has the potential to evolve into a political problem, which the CCP fears the most, a social and political time bomb. In a letter addressed to university students, Chinese President Xi Jinping encouraged the country's youth to embrace rural areas. He shared his own experience of being sent to the countryside during the Cultural Revolution and repeatedly urged young people to seek hardships on their own. Meanwhile, the CCP state media continues to promote stories of young people relying on food delivery, garbage collection, street food stalls, fishing, and farming in order to lead a decent life. Looking back over these years, besides cracking down on the real estate, internet, and education industries, which led to the disappearance of millions of job opportunities, the CCP's high-pressure control measures during the pandemic resulted in countless workers being laid off, with the service industry, predominantly employing young people, suffering the most. Wang Yi said, "It's not just the impact caused by the zero-COVID policy. Even after the end of the zero-COVID policy, the Chinese economy remains in a terrible state." What does this indicate? It signifies that the Chinese economy is facing long-standing structural and institutional problems, compounded by the worsening international economic environment. It's all intertwined. No one within the CCP's internal hierarchy is helping to resolve these issues. Xi Jinping is helpless and can only resort to political repression, which cannot solve the problems but only exacerbates the contradictions. Ultimately, the intensification of conflicts may exceed the authorities' control. Therefore, the CCP is currently sitting on the edge of a volcano, waiting for it to erupt. Resurgence of Great White Lung as Beijing reports highest weekly COVID-19 cases in 5 weeks. China's COVID-19 outbreak continues to worsen. According to the latest weekly report from the Beijing Municipal Health Commission on May 31st, covering the period from May 22 to May 28, the city recorded a total of 30,750 cases of 16 legally notifiable infectious diseases, with 4 reported deaths. However, the actual number of fatalities remains uncertain due to the CCP's concealment of the epidemic. As of now, Beijing has remained at the top of the list for 5 consecutive weeks in terms of the number of newly confirmed COVID-19 cases. A citizen of Beijing recorded a scene in which Dongdan Hospital at Beijing Union Medical University Hospital was filled with patients. Additionally, the fever clinics are also experiencing overcrowding. Some doctors have revealed that many medical staff members have to continue working even if they test positive for the virus. Moreover, a series of nucleic acid sampling sites have quietly reappeared in Beijing, further adding to the confusion among the public regarding the severity of the epidemic. As for the level of symptoms in the latest wave of infections, some mainland doctors said that their symptoms vary, with some claiming it to be milder than the initial phase, while others experience more severe symptoms. Notably, there are also a few rare cases where patients do not initially exhibit a fever. Instead, they may only experience minor symptoms such as a runny nose, sore throat, or cough. However, within a few days, their condition rapidly deteriorates, resulting in the manifestation of white lung. In the midst of the virus rampage, the authorities in Zhongnanhai are being criticized for their inaction. Professor Jin Dongyan, a professor of biochemistry at the Li Ka-shing Faculty of Medicine at the University of Hong Kong, revealed to the media that there are currently no reports on the situation in China, and the data from the Chinese CDC has not been updated for a significant period of time. The government authorities are completely passive, leaving the public to rely solely on self-help. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.